Hey guys, Thomas here. Today we are jumping straight back into the Foxeer build, so hopefully we're going to get this thing flight tested today. Before we do that, we've got to actually set up the software side, so let's run through a setup of Betaflight 4.3. So what we have here is one of the latest development builds of Betaflight 4.3. They're releasing updates pretty regularly, so this will probably get superseded quite quickly, but the base setup should be pretty much the same as what the real 4.3 will be. So we've got the quad connected now, so we will load up some firmware and flash it straight onto the drone. That warning comes up just because this is a development build, so it is unfinished. Okay, so the firmware is flashed, so what we'll do now is reconnect with the quad. We'll have to probably power cycle it, since I don't have a reboot sequence set up. And apply custom defaults, and we should be in. There we go. So first thing I'll do is come down to, first thing I'll do is make sure that the accelerometer is going the right way. I actually have the accelerometer turned off normally, but I just use it at the start to make sure that I've definitely got this orientated correctly. So we'll hop into ports. I'm using UART1 for my receiver, so I'll save and reboot. Then we'll go into configuration, and 8 and 8 kilohertz, turn off the accelerometer, turn off barometer, turn off magnetometer. That's quite a word. Okay, here we go. Craft name. I'm going to call this thing BMS Foxeer. I'll probably change the name later since that'll take up a lot of OSD room. But I think everything else here is okay. So save and reboot. Okay, now we'll go down to presets. I have not played with presets before, but the Betaflight devs ran me through how 4.3 works, and they told me that I should start with the karate tune. Basically, they fixed a ton of, not really issues, but because tech's gotten better, they found a whole lot of areas they can improve the code, and so tunes are a lot more versatile than what they were before. So apparently, if I find the karate race tune, I should flash that first for D-Shot 600, and I'll pick that. Agree, and that's set. I think I'll have to save and reboot for that, so I'll save and reboot. This is actually my first time using the presets. I've never used this before. And that's an iPhone. Okay, so we're back in. That's the preset for the tunes that should be set up. So if I go down to PID tuning, slide disable because current value is outside basics. So yep, that's the karate tune loaded. Then we'll go back to presets, and there should be something special here. If we go down to rates, BMS Thomas Racing / Freestyle rates. So if we click this, okay, so this should be my real rates. We will check it in a second to see if this is correct, but let's load that up. And now if I go to PID tuning and I go to rate profile, yep, these are my settings. I didn't actually copy over my throttle expo. They left that out. So I actually use a throttle mid of 0.45 in real life, and then a throttle expo of 0.3. I'll save that. But otherwise, these are my real rates, 720 degrees all around. I really love the actual rate system because you can really dial it in how you want. For cinema, I use 100 for center stick, 500 for max with, I believe, 0.3 expo. I can't quite remember. I'll have to pop it up on screen. We are turning on serial, and then we're going to crossfire protocol. AATR, because I'm mode 1, will actually double confirm this now. So save and reboot. I will turn on my radio and plug in the drone.
Welcome to OpenTX.
And if we go to receiver, are we actually bound? We're not bound. So the first step, bind the actual receiver. Okay, so system, TBS Agent Light, Tracer Micro TX, and then bind. And then when this is, execute. Update micro TX. And now we'll just let that run. Okay, bind is okay. So what we'll do now is we'll click return to go back one level. And let's actually just check that everything is okay. So we'll go into Nano RX. And let's just click general. Output map should already be set, but failsafe cut, that's important. And everything else is okay. So let's return. And then if we check Betaflight, okay, so we can see now all of our controls are working the right way around. You can see the top little graphic is absolutely going ballistic. So I have a feeling this could be just an error with the development configurator. What we'll do is actually test it carefully at the field. Obviously, if you want to avoid these problems, just wait for the real release or use Betaflight 4.2. But for now, let's continue on with the setup. Okay, so our transmitter's off, the battery's unplugged from the drone. Let's continue with the setup. Let's go to modes, we'll turn on arming. I'm auxiliary 1 with the center position. Then for black box, once again, auxiliary 1 in the center position. Then for flip over after crash or turtle mode, we're going to aux 2 and the very end little section. For me, on my radio, I have it set to this. Okay, we'll save that. Then adjustments, we just ignore. Motors, make sure we're set to D-Shot 600, bidirectional D-Shot. And then we'll head over to OSD. And the way I like to set my OSD, I'm using an NTSC camera. I move the warnings down to the very bottom. Then I'll throw on my username, so that'll be under craft name for me. And in this case, yeah, the name's a bit big, but I'll just chuck it there for now and fix that later. Then we'll go to voltage, so I use average cell voltage, that way it doesn't matter what battery I've got plugged in. I'll chuck that over here. Then I like to have my throttle percentage on my OSD. This just helps me to analyze my DVR later on. So throttle position, put it over here. And then finally, sometimes I'm using link quality. So I won't bother with this one, but if I were to use link quality on this quad, I would put it, if I can find it, link quality, I would usually place it over here. In this case though, I don't need it. This is a racing drone. We're only doing club racing with this, so we don't need the link quality visible. Okay, now it's time to set up the ESC. So what we'll do is disconnect from Betaflight, and let's go over to BR Heli Suite. Plug in the quad. This XT60 is fresh, so it's a tight connection. Okay, here we go. So we'll go USB modem, connect. Read setup. Beautiful, and then we will flash BR Heli. And let's do the update. It might sometimes come up with an error here asking you to update your BR Heli. If it does, just do it. Usually their updates are pretty safe. I don't think I've ever had a bad update from the BR Heli developers before. But now we will just flash all of the ESCs. So we have the ESCs flashed now, and we'll quickly run through the ESC settings that I run. So we've got DMAG compensation low, I leave it here, I don't adjust that. I've already tested with off before on the V1 BMS motors, and it did work okay, but you basically just increase the risk of a desync on a motor that was maybe a little damaged or something, so in this case I leave it low for more redundancy. Motor timing I set to auto. This is for a combination of a little bit more power at the top end. This does compromise a little bit of efficiency there, but then the real big reason for me is it increases the reliability quite a lot. If you're in a race and you've got a damaged prop or you've damaged a motor or something, I'd say this gives you like another 20% greater chance of being able to continue flying on that motor rather than having to bin it and replace it. The only other change I do is PWM frequency of 24 kHz. Back in 2019, I did some extensive testing with one of the Betaflight developers, and while on feel, I could feel a little difference between 48 and 24, there really wasn't a discernible impact on lap times, battery efficiency, PID error, or any kind of meaningful data trace. Maybe for freestyle it would have been better with the throttle chops just looking a little smoother or something like that. But this is something I may have to retest in the future because ESC technologies came a long way and Betaflight has sure came a long way since early to mid 2019. Final thing to do is to write setup. Right, okay. Then we will close BLHeli32. I have to do a power cycle with the ESC. In this case, I'm leaving it powered because the next thing I will do is set the motor direction. So if we go down to motors, we can first reorder motors, understand the risk, the propellers are removed, start. This is the spinning propeller, and this one's spinning, and this one's spinning, then that one's spinning. And then we can click to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's all correct, save. Next step is to check the motor direction, so we'll click this, understand the risks, we've got no propellers on, and this one I'll do through the wizard. So we'll spin motors, and so the first motor is moving the wrong way, so we'll click it. That's correct. Second motor is moving correctly, third motor incorrectly, so we'll click it. Fourth motor is correct, check third again. Just do a recheck of them all, very carefully. If you've got stop motors now because that's done. But if you've got motors that have real spiky spokes, just be careful not to touch the top side. If you're going to touch the motor to check the direction, just touch the bottom half. Just so you don't cut yourself or something. Close that off and we'll do one more check. Turn on the little tester down here. Yep, everything's fine. Okay, Future Thomas here. There are a couple settings I forgot to turn on which are important. One of them was setting the smart audio ports in the ports tab. So just make sure you've got your smart audio or whatever protocol you use set up. The other thing, back under presets, this is important to get the most out of your quad, especially if you're running a preset tune. Make sure you're running the correct smoothing settings or receiver settings. So in this case, I'm loading up the Tracer OpenTX preset. This basically adjusts the smoothing so you can get the absolute most out of your protocol. You can cut a bit of latency and get a little more accuracy out of the whole system. So we've completed the setup of the drone now, or hopefully completed the setup. What we'll do now is unplug it, and let's actually just do a quick bench test. So we'll fire up the radio.
Welcome to OpenTX.
We have the battery on board, we'll plug it in. And in this case, we just want to really carefully test to make sure everything's running the right direction. So first let's arm and disarm. That's working. This time I'll just go into flip over after crash so I can test each motor individually. So let's go right roll, left roll, up elevator, down elevator, yaw. Everything seems okay. Click back into normal mode, arm it, and then we'll just quickly jiggle the yaw, roll, and pitch around a little bit just to see if it's pitching in the right directions with torque. Yep, everything's fine. Final thing to set up is the VTX table. So once again, let's connect. And under video transmitter, I've gone to the Foxeer website and downloaded the lure for their VTX table. So what we'll do now is load from file, Foxeer Reaper VTX table, open, save. Save, not save to file. And there you go, that should be set up. Okay, let's set up the camera. So first thing, timer off. Power off. Mode day. Setting it to NTSC. 4.3, crosshairs off. Okay, that's everything for this menu. So let's exit this menu out. So we double tapped the middle button and now camera ID we're turning off. Picture adjustment. Day and night, we want to change that to manual. Language, English, and that's it. Save all. And there we go. Our camera is set up and ready for action.
So the quad's all built and it's testing time.
Testing time. Yeah, so far we've built the whole thing. We've made sure everything works on the ground. We've tuned it and set up all our rates and settings. So now it's time to see if this thing actually flies and then eventually move on to the track test. Seems to be working on the ground. Let's go have a fly.
Let's do this. How do you think this is going to go?
I think it's going to be successful, you know. I mean, the gear itself, but with the exception of the RX, is all stuff that we're familiar with.
Well, we know the flight controller and the ESC is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, so is the camera.
Yeah, I mean, we could have faulty gear on this. It's unlikely, extremely unlikely, but we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to test everything. The propellers too, we've never used those before, so they could be interesting. They seem really good though.
Oh, that's right. It's the Foxeer ones, isn't it?
It is, yes. I'm not actually sure what the specs are.
It's as much as a Foxeer build as we could possibly do. They've got new motors out too, which we haven't tried those. They didn't have them at the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to film the takeoff. Okay. Don't go backwards if you can help it.
Let me know when I'm clear.
You are clear. That actually sounds good.
Yeah, it's feeling pretty good. First split rolls are good. Okay, let's try flip. Sounding dead smooth. This is running the Karate Tune preset too, which is pretty cool. Wow, it feels really smooth. Even coming into prop wash actually, it seems to do a pretty good job of somehow correcting for it. That's ridiculous. Okay, let's go for a straight line pass. I'll go out in the open.
Out in the open, there'll be someone crossing with a dachshund. I'll let you know when they're here.
Okay, am I clear?
We're clear, you're clear at the moment, completely clear.
Wow, that's nice and smooth. Even the back off on the throttle, it didn't really jump around or anything. I know they've been doing a lot of work with that on Betaflight 4.3, so it's probably more a Betaflight thing than a Foxeer thing. But good equipment still helps with making everything more controlled. This feels like a bit of a bullet, to be honest, the way it tracks as I clip something.
You're crash testing it, aren't you? Sorry.
Yeah, we're doing all kinds of testing for Foxeer, right? Got to test all things. It's really snappy, the way the controls sort of just...
Hey,
the start-stop points are really nice.
Try something?
Yeah?
Do you want to do the track that we do here?
We can give it a go, yeah, why not?
Just see what it's like. It is a race quad.
Yeah, we'll ease into it. Still getting comfortable with it. It does feel quite a bit different. I think that's... The camera angle might be a bit different because this is a fixed tilt, so we haven't adjusted this to true 45. And then the other thing is the props are quite a bit different, so the throttle curve feels a little foreign. Picks up nicely though. When you cut the throttle, it responds so quickly.
That tune sounds really good, by the way.
Sounds amazing. I can't believe this is just a preset.
Battery done?
Oh, that felt really good. These like long arcs, even at low throttle, feel amazing. See how this feels.
Okay, I've got some ideas and thoughts. I'll wait till you land.
Okay.
Can we discuss them?
Wow, that's feeling really dialed actually. Man, I think I have to retune my JS once now. I mean, I haven't done a proper 4.3 tune yet, and this is quite a bit ahead of the prototype software I'm running. That felt amazing though. What's our voltage at? 3.7, beautiful. Oh.
You can unplug that.
Well, that worked pretty well, I think. Nothing went wrong. It's amazing how much prop wash rejection this has. I'm not sure if that's the props or the tune or a combination of everything. I think I've got to try 4.3 properly on my JS ones now. But either way, this whole combo actually worked really well out of the gate. It's a preset tune, full Foxeer components besides the receiver and my motors.
Yep.
Overall, it actually looks like it's going to be a brilliant package. We'll have to wait for the actual track testing, but I think it's looking pretty good.
Is it worthwhile track testing it on a proper track?
You mean like with gates and everything? Yeah.
No, that's not what I mean. When I say a proper track, I mean, like, could you take this to an actual race and instead of racing your JS1, actually, I'm not saying you're going to change over, but actually race this at a real racetrack.
Like a club race?
Like a club race.
Oh. I mean, if you think about it, right, all these reviews don't really actually show you what happens in a real race.
That's what I mean, like actually put in a race. You've actually won all,
that'd be really
you've
cool.
actually won all the races throughout the seasons, right? So you've got nothing to lose. So what if you lose one race meet?
Yeah, I think it is actually really capable there. Maybe we should try it.
Okay. If you want to see that, in the comments below, ask this man to actually race it at a real race meet.
That's gonna be high stakes. One drone for a whole race meet. That's gonna be pretty. That actually make for a pretty good story there.
One drone. That's it. I mean, worst case scenario, if you smash it, it's broken.
Go back to the
you
JS
go back to
ones.
JS1.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world. But I mean, it'd be a good test, wouldn't it?
Yeah, different.
Not
props,
just a
different
review and
frame.
it's fast, it's smooth, and all that sort of stuff, but actually like get out and actually test it.
It'll be interesting too because you're gonna have the lightweight from the fact that it's just a top plate frame, but then also you've compromised the electronics durability in the sense that it's just completely open. I mean, that's what most people run anyway.
That's exactly what most people run, so that's not really.
For me, that'll be a new experience. I'll have to be really careful with the overtakes and everything. God, that'll be actually really interesting.
One drone, let's do it.
Okay, I guess you'll see that sometime in the near future. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good day, happy flying, and see you around.